So, hey Lloyd, thank you for being with us today. How's it going?
I've been reading Rue Morgue, and it's going great. That's all I do is read Rue Morgue. I especially like the Rue Morgue with the Father's Day on the cover. Who made that wonderful film, Father's Day?
We're going to talk about
who could have produced such a good film? It must be an amazing, wonderful company to produce Father's Day on the cover of Rue Morgue magazine. Wow.
So yesterday, Panic Cinema was showing two of your films, two Troma masterpieces, your last movie, Poltergeist Night of the Chicken Dead, and the cult classic Class of Nukem High.
Wow.
Riding on the success of the Toxic Avenger, Class of Nukem High inspired two sequels. It was also on the USA Up All Night, and it was the highest selling VHS for Troma. So my first question is, do you miss VHS tapes?
We've just released, yesterday at Panic Cinema, for the first time, we released the new VHS of Toxic Avenger, brand new VHS, only 300 copies, and yesterday two of them, for the first time ever, two of them were presented in France the first time.
Oh, this is great.
So VHS is back in Tromaville.
In 1995, 10 years after the success of Troma's most popular movie, The Toxic Avenger, Troma's popularity began to run out of steam, so you decided to switch to independent filmmaking, and thanks to Tromeo and Juliet, Troma was back on business. Can you explain us why Tromeo and Juliet was a big success, while Troma's War was a box office failure?
Troma's War was destroyed by the Motion Picture Association of America. It was disemboweled. It was... We saw Die Hard, and Die Hard had lots of serious violence, and we figured Troma's War would have no problem, but the Motion Picture Association of America made us remove even bullet hits, even fists, even punching we had to remove, and our violence is cartoon violence. The MPAA, the Motion Picture Association Rating Board, has a different standard for the independents. They want to kill, they are owned by the major studios. They are owned and controlled by the conglomerates. So they, in my opinion, want to destroy the competition for the big conglomerates, and they destroyed Troma's War, which almost put us out of business.
Yeah, too bad. No,
yeah, very bad.
So you're the co-founder of Troma Entertainment Film Studio and the former president of Independent Film and Television Alliance. You're kind of the king of independent filmmaking, the prince of low-budget theaters. But before that, you work on big Hollywood productions, including Rocky, Saturday Night Fever. You also produced The Final Countdown, and it is said that this experience on this film made you never want to deal with a major studio again. Is it true?
Yes.
Why?
Rocky and Saturday Night Fever were my film school. I didn't go to, well, you can tell from my movies that I didn't go to film school, but I attached myself early on to John G. Avildsen. I worked on Joe, and I saw the first day when I was cleaning toilets, whatever I was doing on Joe, I saw John Avildsen is a good director. I saw the first day I went on the set of Joe, which was Susan Sarandon's and Peter Boyle's first movie. I saw the shot that Avildsen was setting up, and it was really beautiful, beautiful shot. And I decided I'm going to attach myself to this guy, and I'm going to learn at his knee. And indeed I did. And he brought me on to Rocky. Troma produced all of the Rocky footage in Philadelphia because they didn't have enough money to use union crew, so we used the non-union Troma crew on. Actually, it was from Avildsen's movie Cry Uncle. And we did it kind of in secret. The unions didn't know about it. And then finally the Teamsters, the truck drivers, found us in Philadelphia. And after 8 days, we had shot all of the Rocky running up and down the steps, running up the steps of the museum and the fruit market and the pet store. Many of the famous scenes with Stallone were shot. And then Avildsen went on to Saturday Night Fever, and he brought me on that one. But then he was removed from Saturday Night Fever, and I stayed because John Badham also, I could tell, was a very talented, intelligent director, and I learned a lot from him. And then that was the end of my career on mainstream movies, except in 1979, Peter Douglas, the son of Kirk Douglas, asked me to be in charge of a movie he wanted to produce called Final Countdown. And Kirk Douglas is a big hero of mine. He broke the blacklist. He is a major giant in the history of cinema. He was also a very good director of movies, and I thought it would be interesting to work with them. And indeed, it was interesting. But Final Countdown is an example of how schlock director, schlock crew, and a very bad attitude can hurt the movie-making experience. And if you see the Blu-ray, the very good Blu-ray of Final Countdown, I speak very candidly. I learned a lot from Kirk Douglas, and the Final Countdown is a good movie, but it has nothing to do with the director or the crew. It's all thanks to Kirk Douglas and Peter Douglas. It has nothing to do with anyone else. Martin Sheen was a good guy on that movie, but everybody else had no interest in making a good film. They were all concerned about how much money they could make, how much money they could steal, and what they were eating for lunch. The movie came last, and I go into more detail on the Blu-ray of Final Countdown.
So we're gonna see that. Cool. So you encourage independent filmmaking, making appearances in low-budget horror films such as James Gunn's Slither and Super, or in Crank or Gamer. You wrote books to make your own damn movie, direct your own damn movie, produce your own damn movie, and soon sell your own damn movie. What advices would you give to budding film directors?
I think the most important advice I can give to an artist is, at least from my own experience, is to thine own self be true. Do what you believe in. To thine own self be true, a phrase coined by William Shakespeare, who wrote a best-selling book called 101 Money-Making Screenplay Ideas, otherwise known as Hamlet. Don't compromise. I have compromised a few times, and I regret it.
Okay. So, your latest film, Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead, had the second highest per-screen average ticket sales, beating out the big-budget Speed Racer on its opening weekend on the US. Now there is a comic book inspired by the motion picture by the cartoonist Dave Gould. In North America, Poultrygeist is a must-have DVD for Troma fans, but in France, nobody can watch the movie because the DVD doesn't exist. I heard from French video publishers that the rights of Poultrygeist were kind of too expensive. So my question is, would you reconsider the price of the copyright for France so French fans could finally enjoy a Poultrygeist Region 2 DVD edition?
Well, I don't want to give Poultrygeist to a schlocko French distributor who will give it no respect. The last movies to be distributed in France were distributed by Sony, and the DVDs are horrible. They're terrible. It's insulting. So I rather that the French fans go to Pirate Bay, where they can see all the Troma movies, where the Troma movies are treated with respect, and do that instead. Or get the DVDs. We can get them from Amazon.com, European, doesn't cost, or Troma or whatever, you know. For us to get no money from a distributor who is no grade Z distributor, and then they don't really treat the movie with respect, I'm finished with that.
Can understand totally.
Also, nobody wants our movies. There are no distributors really who want our movies. You know, the industry is controlled by a small number of giant international conglomerates. And in a fair world, Poultrygeist Night of the Chicken Dead would be on television, and it would be in the cinemas all over the world. It's a better movie than most of the films that you get to see. But because we are not part of Disney or Fox or UGC or Gaumont, we are economically blacklisted. Luckily, the internet exists, and millions of people have seen Poultrygeist Night of the Chicken Dead thanks to file sharing, and I'm a big supporter of file sharing.
I didn't know that.
Yes, it's a good thing. Art should be shared. Art should be a partnership between the artist and the fans. And thanks to the internet, it is changing the rules of the game, and I'm very happy with that.
2 years ago, you confirmed a PG-13 remake of The Toxic Avenger produced by Goldsman. You also said you were negotiating a deal for remakes of Class of Nukem I and Poltergeist. How far has it got?
Well, Akiva Goldsman has won an Oscar for A Beautiful Mind. He's a big-time guy, and he and his team have paid us some money for the remake rights to Toxic Avenger. If they remake Toxic Avenger, they're going to spend, from what we understand, about $100 million on it. And if they actually succeed in making the movie, Troma will get a big check, lots of money, which will help us make more movies. And I think they are going to make a good remake because they have hired Steven Pink. Steven Pink is a very, very good director. He did High Fidelity and wrote Grosse Pointe Blank. And recently he wrote and directed Hot Tub Time Machine, which is a wonderful film. So, and he loves Troma. So I think he will be able to take Toxic Avenger and mainstream it in the same way that Bon Jovi, David Bryan, and Joe DiPietro made the Toxic Avenger musical for Broadway, and it's really good. They took the humor, the spirit, the subversiveness of Troma, but they were able to make it go on to the mainstream. Just the way James Gunn and Eli Roth and Trey Parker are dealing with true art. They are real talented artists, but they're able to also not compromise, but yet reach a mainstream audience, which I cannot do.
Yeah, we know that.
Yes, you know that.
So we're going to close this Sinister 7 interview with what you call a response to Mother's Day. I'm talking, of course, of the movie written and directed by the Canadian filmmaking team Astron 6.
Astron 6, we discovered Astron 6 and we gave them money to make Father's Day. And they are a brilliant, brilliant Canadian team of directors. There are only 5 of them, but they call themselves Astron 6. And I think they are going to follow Trey Parker and Oliver Stone and Eli Roth and James Gunn as very, very important, traumatic, inspired movie makers. They are really, really talented.
So please make us dream. Tell us about Father's Day.
Well, Father's Day, Michael Hers and I produced it, but as I say, the directors, Astron 6, have a great talent, and they also mix the genres. Father's Day has got an anti-religious theme to it. I thought it would be funny to make Father's Day because Mother's Day was remade by Brett Ratner's company with Mr. Boseman directing, and the remake has just come out, actually. But I figured people would think that Father's Day is just an answer to Mother's Day, when in fact Father's Day has nothing to do with Mother's Day. It's about religion and priests, and it does have some fathers being fucked up the ass, but it's just by coincidence. And it's a great film. It's funny, it's horrifying, it's frightening, it's disturbing. It's very Troma, but it's more than Troma. It's the next generation of, actually it's the generation after the next generation of Troma, because Troma's around for 40 years. So I think we are probably the grandfather of Astron 6.
Yeah, modern Troma. Anyway, thank you very much, Lloyd, for this Sinister 7 interview.
Well, may I thank Rue Morgue, because Rue Morgue, I think, is the only publication that has continuously found and encouraged the truly independent films, and has been able to stay totally independent. And there are other publications who are independent in spirit, but I think Rue Morgue has been the most successful in staying ahead of the game. Like Troma, movies of the future, Rue Morgue has been able to maintain the view of the future, and congratulations to Rue Morgue.
Oh, thank you, Lloyd. So I'm going to ask you to sign this cover, because
of course
my God, you're part of this.
Wow, look at this. Father's Day, unbelievable.